Shadow Show.
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 Shadowing it.
Billy, I'm a little worried about everything that's happening here. Right now I'm looking at a studio that is bare bones. Stugotz is not here because of traffic issues. I need you to make an emergency call to Izzy because we are missing people today, and Cody has a plumbing issue of some sort. What the hell do you think that is?
I don't know. It's always something with him.
But do you want to guess? Do you want to guess why Cody is not yet here? Because he just sent us a vague text, I've got a plumbing issue, which immediately makes me just think he's got shit all over the floor.
I mean, I hope it's not that. Plumbing issues happen. He's supposed to be coming, so I believe it's been resolved-ish, and he's come. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, you're
man.
not really answering my question.
I don't have answers. I have just as many questions as you do. I don't know who's in, who's not in, who's here, who's not. I just see $40 sitting at Stugotz's seat, maybe $60. I don't know what that's about. There's just cash floating around. Like, it's a kind of strange environment at the moment.
Dan, pipes explode all the time. All across America, all across the world. Pipes just explode for no reason. There is a reason, but we don't know why the reason is. Maybe his pipes exploded.
None of that is accurate. Pipes don't just explode for no reason. And people, if they do explode, know what the reason is.
Nah. Do you think Chris knows what the reason is?
Put
Chris
it on the
most
poll,
certainly does not know
please,
what the reason
Juju.
is.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Do pipes explode all the time for no reason at Le Batard Show?
/ none of us know what it is. We'll never know.
Do you believe, though, Tony, since Billy was not helpful in coming up with positing a theory, because a lot is going on right now and his head is spinning a little bit because he didn't think he was going to be in that seat today, and he shouldn't be in that seat today. He has other things, other important things to be doing. Don't you assume that once somebody texts you, I've got a plumbing issue, aren't you assuming there's shit all over the place?
100%. Like the toilet, you know when you're at a toilet and you go to flush it and then it goes the wrong way? Right? Because it's supposed to go down, and then it starts going up, and you're like,
it's terrifying.
You're like, whoa, wait,
it's
again, for no reason.
We
don't know why it happened.
It is a terrifying thing when it starts to rise, and you don't have any understanding of whether or not it's going to overflow.
You're like a pass block drill. You're like, whoa, whoa.
Well, the explanation that we got was that there was just inches and inches of sitting water that they woke up to.
Shitting water.
Which I don't understand how that's possible. I mean, is that entire house flooded? Seems like that's a serious issue.
All right, let's start the show. We're in trouble today.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. You came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Not so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
The other thing that's causing great chaos around here in our streets, and I saw people running on Ocean Drive with their suitcases, is that everyone is crisscrossing, ping-ponging, trying to get to other places of Florida because this hurricane is going to escalate quickly, and South Florida is going to be able to evidently avoid most of this. And one of the weird things about hurricanes is the weather is so beautiful right before these things come. And
Calm before the storm.
Yes, thank you, Billy. I appreciate that.
It makes me think, Dan, like back in the day, the native Floridians, all the way back in the day, before we had anything, they would just be hanging out. Hey, great day, great couple of days. All of a sudden, bam, hurricane.
Die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. The oceans are all burning and we're all wondering why. Let's turn on the news and find out how we're gonna die.
Quick work there by Meadowlark Media getting Izzy on short notice. Love that he's available in emergency. And Stugotz just walked in. Stugotz, was the traffic horrific today? You're for as close as you cut it over the years, you're never actually late for the show. So what, was the traffic horrific?
Yeah, it was bad. It was a 2-hour and 15-minute commute today. It was awful. I got to tell you, South Florida deserves better roads. We do. We deserve better highways. We deserve this construction that I've been dealing with for 25 years to go away. They've been working on the same stretch of I-95 for 25 years. I sold bonds for it. Get out of here. We deserve better. Murray!
South Florida is weird in how inefficient it is. I had sort of a Simpsons episode with my wife because we are driving and we don't understand this arch that they're spending millions of dollars to build. And it's just an aesthetic thing. It seems like a giant waste of money. And I was laughing with Valerie because she's saying, why don't they put all of that money into our incredibly terrible airport instead of building an arch? And the way it would be a Simpsons episode is that you'd put the arch over the airport and then planes would just crash into it because we don't know how to spend money correctly in South Florida to protect us from what is happening. Is anyone here? And because this hurricane season was supposed to be truly terrible and has not been yet. And I don't think weather forecasters actually...
Don't dare the weather gods, Dan. I don't know what you're doing here. We're not out of it yet. I mean, geez. You're the guy that celebrates before crossing the goal line and throws the ball down like the 3. Let's just listen. Hurricanes. If you're listening out there, Dan said that.
Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, not us. I'm not saying anything
I'm
about the
fully
Hurricanes.
anticipating one final month of hell. Just hurricane after hurricane. In fact, I'm going up to Sarasota, like the Siesta Key area, and if anybody knows that area, Siesta Key is one of the most famous.
Now you're doing that?
Yeah, actually,
Bad weekend.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yep.
don't do that.
We're going up there for a hurricane bachelor party. We could just do that down here and not have that weather experience, but we're doing it over there because the view is better.
Well, the view of the hurricane?
Yeah, it's going to be a great view of
That's
the
idiotic. And I hate to sound morbid, but you deserve whatever happens to you.
Whoa!
You're going into a hurricane. Like, come on.
I mean, the outskirts of it, Billy.
It's like the kids that are skateboarding in the middle of the street and then they get hit by a car. And it's like, oh, it's such a bright future. It's like, probably not. He was skateboarding in the middle of the street. Kid was an idiot.
Wow.
I think we should show more compassion to people who find themselves in peril because of dumb decisions that are made.
No, you're running into peril. Like, you're choosing to put yourself in a bad situation.
No,
like,
Billy's right.
Everyone's
I hate to say it.
leaving. You're choosing to put yourself in a bad situation that's avoidable.
I am not the person in charge of said bachelor party. Otherwise, I would cancel it. But yeah, this is a terrible decision by us.
One of the things that scares me as someone who's lived in South Florida all his life, and not until I got into my 50s did I fear hurricanes, is the water is so hot that these things are escalating quicker than the forecasters expect them to. And so I don't know how big a storm this is going to be as soon as it starts consolidating, but it's supposed to be off of the coast of Tampa at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon.
Perfect.
And that's terrible. Like, something happening in Tampa would be really bad just because of not just the hurricane, but the flooding that then comes after that results in a beyond inconvenience, loss of life. And I don't know that the rest of the country has exactly this fear, although there were hurricanes inexplicably off the West Coast last year. California didn't even know what to do with any of that. But I've never feared this before, even though we had Hurricane Andrew. And I remember specifically driving through Homestead, the National Guard is there, a whole bunch of people are armed, and I'm seeing what used to be gas stations, and it's just twisted metal going up into the sky. And I cannot imagine anyone trying to live in housing that has poor permits, which is what we had out there because of all of the corruption that makes us build homes poorly in South Florida and continue to develop. If a Category 4 or 5 hits a place, the wreckage is going to be something that your ancestors talk about for the rest of their lives.
And that didn't scare you? You said you weren't scared by hurricanes until you were in your 50s. That, as a child or as a teenager, didn't scare you?
The reason it didn't scare me is because I was in Pembroke Pines at the time, and I slept through the whole thing. So these things go to a concentrated area, and so I saw it happen over there. But I think this happens to a lot of people listening to this. If it doesn't happen to you or your loved ones, you underestimate how horrific it would actually be to be Kimbo Slice hiding under a mattress as his whole house gets torn away because he can't find anywhere to hide, and a mattress doesn't feel like much protection when it's all wet and windy.
Or to be a Jets fan. I mean, unless you're in it, you just can't realize just how bad and desperate it is.
Watching under the mattress.
I'm rooting for a 41-year-old quarterback.
Oh, but Stugotz, I don't know if you saw this stat. The Jets have a league-high 56.8% conversion rate on third down. They were league worst 26% last year. If Aaron Rodgers just gives you that all season, and he will if he's healthy, if he just gives you a conversion rate on third down, you've got something to be hopeful about, because you remember how that felt when Zach Wilson was in 3rd and 5 and you felt like you had no hope to convert that.
Aaron Rodgers is preventing this from being the worst season in my 40 seasons of being a Jet fan, because if Aaron Rodgers wasn't healthy or he wasn't playing well early on, I would be looking at Geno Smith and Sam Darnold, who are a combined 6-0, and I'd be depressed. But I'm not, because I have a guy who's a cagey vet, who's really, really good, who's not turning the ball over, who's converting third downs, who's allowing the running game to kind of find its form, and I am very excited. I said yesterday, if you want to prove to me that this is for real, the Jets have to go out and beat Denver by 20-plus points. They better do it this weekend. They have to do it. Otherwise, it's a loss.
And Stu, the way that this roster was constructed, it was always like, if we can get a quarterback, everybody else will be ready to go. The skill position players are there. You've got 2 good running backs. You got Garrett Wilson. Like, the defense is getting online. You have Sauce Gardner. It's like this team was built to win now. Now you just put in even an old Aaron Rodgers, and you're like, oh, wait a second. There's something there.
But the Bills are better, and the Bills are terrifying. And one of the things that I would say about Aaron Rodgers, I heard Bomani say this the other day. He called Aaron Rodgers washed in terms of being able to move around, and he's not wrong about this. I do wonder, after watching Monday night and watching the versatility of the quarterbacks who weren't Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow can be sacked 9 times in a game in a way that I'm assuming that Daniels and people like Lamar Jackson will not be sacked 9 times in a game. I do wonder when they run up against a pass rush like, say, a Green Bay or something, whether Aaron Rodgers' inability to actually move the way that he used to 5 or 6 years ago, when he made all sorts of plays that he cannot make now, because at 41 years old, you shouldn't be running around a football
field. It's funny you mentioned those guys, Josh Allen and Jaden Daniels. Jeremy, give me that stat that you just whispered to me, because I'm going to mess that one up.
Rodgers is 3rd in the league in drop-back success rate per play as of week 3, and that's behind Josh Allen and Jaden Daniels, just ahead of Geno Smith, who you mentioned, and Kyler Murray. That rounds out the top 5.
You should have whispered that. I mean.
It would have been better. Izzy, he's been called in an emergency, and he's had to show everybody a little bit too much behind the curtain that his material is not his own. There are better ways to do that. He'll learn over time.
I'm still marveling at Stugotz just making the complete left turn from hurricanes and Dan being scared in his 50s to the Jets. It's just
again,
someone had to bring it to sports.
Again, Izzy, okay, get out of here.
Can we
you're
call
gonna have
Izzy
to
in
leave.
tomorrow so he doesn't drive into a hurricane?
Thank you, Dan.
We've got a major penalty, 5 minutes, derailing.
5 minutes. Please stop explaining the show to people like, yes, what he did there was get us back to sports because I spent 4 minutes on climate talk.
And I gave him a standing
No, but you're supposed to just not. You're not.
Don't acknowledge it.
No, just get out of here. Go somewhere else. Like, what are you doing? You're not supposed to reveal to everybody what we're doing in the shadows here.
Don't go into the storm, though. Like, can we have him come in tomorrow? I'm worried about him. I mean, even us right now, we're under tropical storm warning. Like, so we're going to be driving through tropical storm elements later.
I got hit with 3 severe weather warnings. I got hit with 3 of them. Oh, look, plumbing problems is here.
Yes.
What do you assume, Stugotz, as plumbing problems walked in and tells us that he couldn't get here on time because he had plumbing problems? What do you assume happened there?
Chris clogged his toilet.
I woke up to my wife saying, "Chris, water!"
and I walked into our guest bathroom, and it was like up to my not ankles, but like there was like I could have done a water dance with and I think our real mistake here was a month ago we had a slight leak of our toilet, and we went handyman route. We didn't go plumber.
Huh.
And apparently the handyman didn't.
Oh, Adonis?
Yeah, I didn't want to name names, but
he's been on the show
loves,
before.
Billy loves
Adonis
naming
was
names.
a guest on our show
Billy
one time.
loves naming names that only he knows
No,
about.
that's not true. Adonis was a guest on the show. I think he made pics or something one
He
time
did.
on Mystery Crate. Yeah.
You may have been referencing someone that was on Mystery Crate, but you also love naming people that no one has heard of to have derailments in the show. In fact, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and
Oh,
do that.
wow.
What's this?
For naming names, 2 minutes.
It's Slim Pickens,
Penalty, 5
man.
minutes.
For painting a
Derailing.
picture.
so perhaps next time we have a slight leak, we go plumber right away.
Yeah,
not
perhaps.
not just generic handyman.
Right. Perhaps you should slide over to the seat that Billy was occupying. I mean, just out of, comfort
Chris, was there
for
any
Dan,
was
yeah.
there any shit involved or no? Because we had it being shit involved.
No, there was no shit involved.
No.
It was just
So it wasn't you?
It was just me waking up to my wife in a panic, and we had to use like every beach towel we had to like get the water under control. And then I was like, you know what? Once the water was under control, I'm like, honey, I can leave now. I think we got this. Because the panic I woke up to, my wife was like, you can't leave. The whole house is gonna be flooded if you, because we didn't know if it was stopped flooding. It was just a bathroom full of water, and we got it under control. Plumber was on the way. I was like, honey, the show needs me. I gotta go.
You're
I
a
left.
hero then.
Thank you.
Somebody could claim that you're a hero, an American hero.
He's out of breath from driving. I mean,
Well, the traffic was also bad for me. I left my house at like 8:05, and I didn't get here till like now.
It's a state of emergency, and like I said, I got several severe weather warnings, not just one. There are several. Did you simply heroically go behind the toilet and just turn the knob that turns off the water
we
to the
turned
toilet?
the water off first thing, but we still had a little slight flood issue to deal with. Yes, I know how to turn the water off. I did that. It was. I had to deal with the water though that we were dealing with. But,
I wouldn't have known how to do that. I know
Full
nothing
nozzle.
the
about
knob
anything.
behind the
Righty
toilet.
tighty.
Jeremy.
Behind the toilet. When have I
Behind
ever
the
gone
toilet.
behind the? Why would you go behind the toilet?
Just in case
For
you need
what?
it, buddy.
No, I'm the least handy person you'll
The
ever
bigger
meet.
picture here is owning a house is
Jewish.
overrated. I'm done with bathrooms. Last week, HOA told us we need a new fence. A few $1,000s, they're not going to pay for it. Hey, we don't like the way your fence looks. Get a new fence. I don't. If I didn't own the house, other people would be paying for this. I don't like this. I want to sell the house.
It is
Anyone want a
annoying.
house?
It is annoying when you get one of those letters like, "Hey, your roof is not meeting our standards." Whose standards?
I'll decide that,
Get
thank
out of
you.
here. I mean, I'll
Well,
clean
no,
my roof when I
no,
want to clean
no,
it.
wait
How's
a
that
minute.
sound?
Okay, that
Again, the
sounds,
Kimbo Slice thing,
yeah,
too. Yeah,
it
that's
sounds
important.
totally shitty if you have neighbors who are worried about their other neighbors being inconsiderate about the property value because they're not taking care of their things.
I'm renting.
That's why you need a homeowners association, a community of people to govern the Stugotz in the neighborhood who tells everybody, I'm not going to take care of my lawn. I don't care what it does to everyone's property value. You kind of need the community to govern the Stugotzes in the homeowners association.
Some checks and balances, Dan.
Jeremy,
what you call it?
yes, some checks and balances, Stugotz. That is close to
Thank
what
you.
you would call it. Jeremy is really embarrassing himself when, by the standards of this show, he says he's the least handy person here.
No doubt in
Because
my mind.
We have an incompetent show when it comes to fixing things around the house. This is a show that is super shitty at that. The thing I wanted to tell you, though, about the story that we assumed plumbing related was shit involved for Chris Cody is Boog Shambi tells the story, and it's a great story, and it's a terrible story, of being on a first date with a woman who comes over to his house and has to use the bathroom, and then the bathroom starts to overflow. And it starts to overflow, blocking drills when the water starts rising, but the water has poop in it. And it starts to overflow, and then it does overflow. And Boog Shambi comes to where it is, the woman is on the first date, and she's on her hands and knees in the water trying to clean it up. And as soon as she sees Boog, she immediately starts sobbing because of how embarrassing that is. And it's what I imagine Chris Cody was doing this morning. I imagine Chris Cody on his hands and knees in an emergency trying to clean up his own poop because he had too many burritos last night.
That was not in the shit chat.
I get it. I get why you hear me, toilet issue. Like, I get it. I get why you guys go there.
Why we would go there,
But
yes.
it was really just me running to the bathroom with like 7 beach towels and like, how can I help, honey?
So you were woken, though, by this? You were sleeping?
I was
you
like,
were dead
I was
asleep?
in my snooze mode of alarm. So I was like awake, but I hadn't gotten out of bed yet. My wife got out of bed, walked to the other side of the house and was like, hey, water. And not a great way to wake up.
Beach towels.
Beach towels.
That would be my
All
answer.
7 of them that we own. Just drenched in water right now, all over my
And poop.
bathroom floor.
You are a real hero. That makes you the handyman of your house.
The towels, really.
Yes, well, I mean,
Look at me.
look, we're grading on a very low bar, but can you tell me the distinction between handyman and plumber? Were you trying to go cheap there? Were you afraid that the plumber per hour would cost too much?
Adonis has just been our can do it all kind of guy, and he generally does something, and it works for a year. He is the kind of guy, like, if he fixes it a year later, you're going to have to bring him back. But usually for that year, you're good. And this was like a couple months ago he came, and it was like, we have a little leak here. He gawked it up, whatever the hell he did to this thing.
That's not a word.
Gawking is a word, actually.
No, gawking is to look at something.
What's
Caulking.
the Caulking.
Yeah,
Caulking.
gonna trust Dan on this one.
Yeah.
I will say this. I was kicked out for giving the Adonis context. Had I not done that when he said Adonis, everyone would have been confused.
You too are an American hero. You also arrive when there's water filling in the room with your 7 beach towels
Gawk it right up.
more water. Yeah.
It's also the headiest of plays for being a handyman where you got to fix something, but then also leave it a little broken so that later on they call you again
Fix it again,
All of
yeah,
a sudden,
yeah.
hey, Chris called me a year.
Yeah.
I know that if I leave this a little off,
Yeah.
he's going to call me again in 6 months, and then I got another $150.
Handy
I've got
play.
in my guest bathroom. I live in a condo on the first floor, so somebody lives above me, and in my guest bathroom, there's a couple of very light brown spots, very light brown spots on the ceiling, and I'm thinking, those will go away. Those will go away. It's not going to get. And every time I look at it, it's like, it's not any darker than last time, is it? Nah, it's fine. No problem.
Chris, I have a question for you. When you're gawking your bathroom, how do you spell that? How are you spelling? How all your life have you spelled the idea of you are taking the tile in your bathroom and you are gawking it?
Well, I don't often spell that word, but if I were to spell it, I'd probably spell it Gawk.
How would you spell caulking?
Careful.
You know.
Wow.
The COAK. Caulking.
Like Doak Campbell and Coke Campbell.
It's coking.
I think it's CAULK. You've been
That's right.
pronouncing that wrong all of your life.
The coke.
And you were so confident about it's gawking. It's the word. You were pretty confident about it.
Yeah, I thought I was gawking. Come on, what are we doing here?
You guys are mentioning, and I want to ask if any of you have partaken in this, because I thought all of the traffic in the roads wasn't severe weather related. I thought it's because everybody's trying to get this iPhone 16. You are mentioning that your handyman corrects things so that you can call him again in 6 months and he has more work. I don't know what is the biggest company in America. Is it Google, Apple, or Amazon? I don't know among those 3 which has the most money.
One time, a guy that worked the front desk of LA Fitness told me LA Fitness was the biggest company in America because we were arguing with him about like an increase in the thing. I'm like, well, we're going to cancel the membership. And he goes, go ahead. It's the biggest company in America. And we're like, I don't know about that, buddy.
Did you get that membership canceled or no?
Oh, yeah, it was canceled.
If you guys had to guess among the 3, which is the biggest of the companies? Is it Apple? Is it Amazon? Is it Google?
I'll go off the board and say the NFL.
Yeah, it's not going to be the NFL.
Huh. Really?
Yeah, it's not going to be the NFL.
I'm going to say Apple just because of the extra adapters that they make you buy every time you upgrade. I didn't know there was a whole alphabet after USB. There's like a USB-A, USB-C, USC. I don't even know what these things are. I just got the new 16. The camera is so big. I don't know where it is. The camera is so big, you have to buy a protective cover just for the camera so that you don't break it every time you put it down. And now I have 3 different adapters for all my chargers.
Well, the reason I bring it up is because Apple has gotten very good and was sued about, making products that break down so they can feed your addiction afterward. It's smart and also illegal. Let's just show people on Lincoln Road what the lines looked like outside of the Apple store for the iPhone 16, because I don't understand this phenomenon. I don't understand why you cannot wait a couple of weeks.
They could have gone to Fort Lauderdale. I got mine in 5 minutes.
Why do you have to have it that immediately, though? Why can it not? Is the difference between the 15 and the 16 so much that...
As an older man, Dan, I cannot tell you what the difference is between the 11 and the 16. My partner, Anthony, has spent the last several days on his phone, the new phone, trying to figure out all the gadgets, all the gimmicks, everything else. Meanwhile, I haven't even been on X since I got it because I don't remember my password and have no idea how to get that.
It is amazing to hear Izzy talk about a partner needing to help him with the young people stuff, the way Valerie does every time I'm making noises around the computer, like, what? I sound like my dad. I sound like my dad making these noises around the computer. Like, what is that? That's just any problem that arises. I hate how much like my father I'm becoming.
It's inevitable.
Oh.
I mean, unless you are somebody that's into gadgets and everything, you're just going to just take your phone and say, hey, can you do the same things you did that last phone did? That's all I need. That's seriously all I need. And I've never sounded older, but it's never been more true.
But how much help do you need, and how much help are you getting?
I need help all the time. I never ask for help. I end up just getting the help because it's just a polite way of laughing at me.
So you don't ask? You're too stubborn and proud to just ask for, I don't know what I'm doing here. Please make me feel less like an old person. And then he comes over and makes you feel more like an old person.
If I ask Siri or Alexa or anything in my house that's listening to me and something doesn't happen, I don't get the result that I want, that's me asking Anthony, hey, can you help me, please?
Billy, is this happening to you? How many of you, because you guys are also, you're trending toward where Izzy's age is. How much of this is happening to you guys with the technology? Because while Jeremy can't fix a toilet and doesn't know there's a knob behind the toilet to turn off the water, I bet you he's got a computer that can probably fix the toilet.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I would just look up a YouTube tutorial. You guys don't do that? You don't go on YouTube to fix everything?
Hello.
How old are you?
Hello, and thank you for watching my video today. Please subscribe. We're going to learn how to unclog a toilet.
Yeah, fast forward 30 seconds.
Guess what day it is, friends?
Wednesday?
Correct. Good
Wow.
job, Dan. It
All
is.
right.
It's Wednesday, and
Good
you know
guess.
what that means.
Against the spread.
That is coming up later today, but I don't know if you guys caught what happened last week. Last week we debuted a segment called Bet the House Senate of Representatives, where we had, Senator Peter Welch come on, and he accurately predicted that Michigan was going to win last week.
What is the
against
name of
USC.
this segment?
It's called Bet the House.
We sent a
of representatives.
a new employee. We sent a new employee out to the Republican National Convention.
Yeah, and Democratic National Convention, both conventions.
Bipartisan, Dano.
Yeah, down the
Yep,
middle.
right down the middle.
And he got sound. A correspondent for Meadowlark Media was getting us sound where we were asking about football games, and now we are 1-0 with the Bet the House Senate Representatives, whatever the name of this is.
Yeah, Bet the House of Representatives. But last time it wasn't a member of the House of Representatives. It was a member of the Senate, so then we had to change it to Bet the Senate of Representatives so that it was accurate. And we asked them, a number of things, but really for the sake of this segment, we just included the portion of the interview where we made football picks, obviously.
But the reason that we can't call the segment Bet the House is because there are liability issues telling people to bet their house.
There's things that go on, and we've been advised not to tell people to bet the house, because if they lose the house, then we're liable, and I think we owe them a house or something. I don't know the exact reasons why it is that we tell people not to, but the point is, bet responsibly, right? But bet responsibly of representatives doesn't make any sense. So we said we wanted to call it Bet the House, but they said you can't tell people to bet the house, so we called it Bet the House of Representatives, because we were people talking to congressmen, senators, representatives. So Bet the House of Representatives rolled right off the tongue and made plenty of sense until the person wasn't in the House of Representatives. They were a senator. So then it had to become Bet the Senate, but that doesn't make sense. So then it just became Bet the Senate of Representatives, obviously.
That was the first one, and we're 1-0.
1-0.
I told you guys that Kevin Costner legitimately bet his house on the idea
On
that
Michigan?
this movie
On Billy's advice?
On Peter Welch's advice?
No.
Oh.
No one is listening to that.
What?
No one is listening to that segment.
Passing up free money.
He's 1-0, Dan. I mean, listen, when you gamble, you will follow anyone who is providing victory for you. Okay?
Undefeated, some people are saying.
Regardless, Kevin Costner, he's obsessed with Westerns in a way that's unusual, and he had that movie Horizon, I guess, that didn't do very well, and he funded it evidently with needing to bet his actual house on that, and he's losing his house on what that bet was because the movie was not well received.
Is that official? They're coming in to take the house or what?
Yes,
he seems like someone that has more than one house, so it's probably
Again,
fine.
what Dan didn't mention is it's his fourth house.
But it's a nice one, and it's an expensive one, and it's not losing his house the way Kevin Spacey is presently losing his house, which is the house has been bought in foreclosure, and he refuses to leave it. He's just staying in the house.
Standoff.
You're not going to get me to feel bad for Kevin Spacey if that's the intention
No,
of this.
just giving you
I'm not
facts.
gonna-
It was not intended to make you feel bad for
Buster
Kevin
only
Spacey.
used to bet the family farm. That is true. If you remember that correctly.
He did,
He
yeah.
would bet the family farm
Yeah.
a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't think anyone ever came and claimed it, but he bet the family farm a number of times.
So do you want to set up this segment? Because as I recall, it had really inefficient imaging.
Wait, hold on. No. Oh, that wasn't the toss to it. Now we have to set it up. Okay.
He was thinking about it.
So, last week, as we mentioned, Senator Peter Welch, we caught up with him and we had him pick USC at Michigan, and he accurately predicted the winner. Now, we caught up with a number of people, so, this is going to be an ongoing series, and as it takes off and as it continues to succeed, I'm excited to announce that more calls are now being sent out. More invitations are being extended to see, if we can get more congressmen and women and senators to be involved in this process. Now that we've seen what a great success
Can't
it's
mix
been.
politics and sports, but this is how we're going to do it.
What do you mean?
This is how we're going to do
can't?
it. You're not supposed to.
Well-
People don't want politics with their sports. You know this.
I feel like that's all we do here. So
That's
this
what
seems like
we
the perfect combination here of how election season. Everybody's excited, wants to talk to a who's who of people in the world of politics. So
Longest toss ever.
this is what I'll tell you.
Can you toss it to the inefficient?
Stop
imaging?
cutting him off.
Bet that- this is an edition of Bet the House of Representatives. And just a moment. And I can tell you, this week we did not speak to a senator. Here it is. It's time to bid the House of Representatives. Bid the House. Bid the House. Bid the House. House. Bid the House of Representatives. Representatives. Bid the House of Representatives. Bid the House of Representatives. It's time to bid the House of Representatives. Today's guest, 2028 congressional candidate from the great state of... He hasn't decided which state he's running yet, or which branch of Congress he's running for yet, but he's definitely running. Enos Cantor Freedom. When the clock hits 00 Saturday, will the fans be chanting Boomer Sooner or War Damn Eagle? Mr. Freedom, who you got?
Obviously, Oklahoma.
So that is actually Enos Cantor, who is now Cantor Freedom, and he is definitely running for something, but we don't know what.
Don't know which state.
We sent someone out to get that sound. We flew someone to a political convention to
Definitely
get that
Oklahoma.
sound.
We actually have been sitting on this news because he's announced that he's running, but hasn't announced what state he's going to be running for. And Thomas, who we sent to get this interview, actually interviewed him and got from him what states he may be running from, but we haven't aired that. We've just been sitting on that information for a couple
well,
weeks
this
now.
is actual exclusive sound for us that Meadowlark Media paid to get someone to give us. This is not sound borrowed from the internet or somebody else's interview.
No, we did this. Yeah. This is we own this, and if anyone else wants to use this, they're going to have to credit us.
You can't just play it again. You have to lead into it and play the entire sound, right?
Obviously, Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's obviously Oklahoma. Enos Freedom. He's legally changed his name to Enos Freedom, right?
Enos Cantor Freedom. Yeah.
It's a hyphen. Yeah.
Mr. Freedom.
That's a fine.
I'm
putting in that bet. That's what I know.
I don't think that should be
Undefeated
a
so far.
Is that money line or whatever?
So I wasn't trying to make anyone feel bad for Kevin Spacey, but he is refusing to leave his Baltimore mansion. And this is Kevin Spacey on Piers Morgan, and he's definitely trying to make people feel bad for him.
Where do you live now? Well, it's funny you asked that question, because this week, where I have been living in Baltimore is being foreclosed on. My house is being sold at auction. Really? So I have to go back to Baltimore and put all my things in storage. Really? So the answer to that question is I'm not quite sure where I'm going to live now, but I've been in Baltimore for since we started shooting House of Cards there. So how long is that? I moved there in 2012. So this has been your home for 12 years? Well, not this particular place, but this place has been my home and Evan and Lucy's home since 2016. Why is it being foreclosed? Because I can't pay the bills that I owe. Are you facing bankruptcy? Been a couple of times when I thought I was going to file, but we've managed to sort of dodge it. At least as of today. How much money do you have? None. Really? Well, I mean, you have some sense of legal bills. Yeah. I still owe a lot of legal bills that I have not been able to pay. You're actually in debt? Yes. Do you mind me asking how much you owe? It's considerable. Millions? Many millions, yes. The house itself is many millions. What are you going to do? Get back on the horse. Get back on the horse.
In that interview, among other things, and I should point out that everything that you've read about Kevin Spacey is alleged, and he was found not guilty in a trial, but he is trying to make his way back. And if you watch the documentary on Max, there is no way back from what it is that he stands accused of, whether he was found not guilty or not.
So you did watch the documentary?
I did, yes.
I have not. Is there anything to defend his behavior? Now, I know you mentioned the allegedly. I know he has been found not guilty of sexual assault for in one case, but he has also sort of talked about apologizing for drunkenly behavior. He, I think, argued in this interview with the phrase groping, and he said I would call it being handsy, which is just semantics. I don't know what really he has to stand on other than the terrible acting he was doing in there. He does so much better acting. Why was he acting so terribly in that interview? What is it that he possibly has to come back? What does he have to stand on? Because this is just the worst case I've seen in a long time of just a famous person getting away with things because he's famous.
There are a lot of them, and Harvey Weinstein and others, Diddy now. I am legitimately mortified and totally confused by how absolutely power corrupts. But one of the things that happened with Spacey in Baltimore that the documentary laid out very well is how he got stronger and stronger until he could create a theater in his hometown that was allegedly an epicenter for all of his grooming, that he got very good at it. They had a lot of different voices, one of whom was a straight military man that made it clear through his allegations, as all of his military friends said, I would have killed Spacey if he had done that to me. I would have done this. And his response was, no, you wouldn't have. When faced with that power and fame and the access to it, he's like, no, you wouldn't have. And then he had to go off camera because he got mad at himself for getting emotional. He didn't want to get emotional, but he thought it was important that someone who looked like him, thought like him, was straight, could show you, look how powerless you can feel in the face of that power. I thought it was the most powerful thing in that documentary. But
yeah, and I think we've seen enough examples of that sort of display of power, and to understand how helpless people can feel and how they give in to whatever it is that person is doing to them. So the idea that Kevin Spacey, again, I just mentioned the idea that, famous people get their opportunity to come out and say however they want and paint the picture. I mean, we talked about, I think, Brett Favre yesterday, right? How he was treated by those was it senators that were speaking to him, and he got this opportunity to, whether you believe him or not, or whether you feel sorry for him or not, to just, clear his name a little bit, to just be in the public eye again. And here you have, Kevin Spacey doing the same thing when we don't have the, 20 plus accusers getting that same opportunity. And, it's the same thing when I think of Deshaun Watson, when I think of a lot of folks who are accused multiple times of something. It's just, okay, like, how many times are you going to say it was a misunderstanding, or it was, that person remembers things differently? I think we've all seen enough examples to understand what people in power can do, and this is one of those disgusting ones.
Why have you not watched it? I would think that you might find it interesting just because I thought it was well done and it has a lot of voices in it, and I haven't seen very good reporting on this particular issue, because you can't watch that documentary, put it next to that Piers Morgan interview, and not think that Kevin Spacey is acting there trying to get sympathy, that the whole reason he's doing that interview is to attempt to get back at money and power, when I don't believe he has a chance given what's alleged about him. And again, found not guilty. So he's trying to make the argument, well, if I'm not guilty in a court of law, why shouldn't I be working? And then you hear his accusers and you're like, oh, that's why he can't be working.
I mean, short answer to your question is it just hasn't been placed in front of me enough times where I had to go search for it and watch it. But the longer answer is, I have to be in a certain frame of mind to watch a lot of those videos, anything that has to do with, LGBTQ issues, and especially just like bad people. It's heavy on me. It's a weight. It's emotional. I go through a roller coaster watching it, and so I just have to be in the right frame of mind. But I will watch it shortly.
I will be curious of your thoughts, because I thought there was real power in sort of seeing how it is that he got stronger. And at the beginning, as he's trying to allegedly sort through the difficulties with his sexuality, the people he was preying on were flamboyantly gay. And so there was some loathing involved in how he treated people like that until, the way the story is told in the documentary, he got strong enough to now find the power turn on of, let me see if I can do this with straight people. Like, let me see if I can escalate how exciting this is to me by trying to make my advances with people who are less likely to want them, and the danger in that.
I'm probably going to watch the doc before I go really deep on this, but it's just testing what level of power you have, right? You do it against, okay, so as a closeted gay man, he probably thought and saw flamboyant gay men as being out and being vulnerable, but also being okay with everything, right? Just, hey, you can be my guinea pig, my test subject, if you will, because you're already out there in the world, and frankly, there's a form of sort of self-hatred there where you see that person that's free and out and doing what he wants to do, and you hate that because you can't be that person. And so you sort of add a negative element to that. It's like, you are unimportant to me. Let me test what I can do with you. You're not who I even really want. And then you just keep pushing those boundaries until you get to the point where, hey, I'm going after a straight man. And so it's just, we've seen enough of these situations, enough people to recognize just the harm it does to be closeted, to hide all that for decades or years and years, and just the damage that it does, especially when you're in a very public setting like Kevin Spacey is, where you're just hearing it left and right. Whether you shouldn't be this way, or even if in a setting like Hollywood, where it is kind of accepted, but you still see people getting blacklisted or not getting roles because of LGBTQ rumors or truths or what have you. So it's just so heavy and so painful and can lead to so many things. And it just depends on, I guess, what kind of person you are at some point, if it takes you down the Kevin Spacey.
It's so interesting to me, though, the way that power corrupts here, because this was a very clear illustration that very often, and I know many people know this, but to see it play out on a screen, oh, this isn't about sexuality or sensuality. This isn't about trying to be someone who is just interested in sex. This is power. This is where sexual assault and rape reside. This is where Diddy is allegedly residing on. It's no longer enough to just enjoy the sex. Now you have to escalate it to a place where you're enjoying the power over people. And next thing you know, you got 1,000 bottles of lubricant and baby oil in your house, or you got 700 dildos. Like, it's something like, how in the world do you rise to a level of power and fame that it's this corrosive, that you need to keep pressing on the addiction of power to keep escalating it to make people feel powerless in front of you? And I want to talk to somebody who's informed about all of the things that are being reported about Diddy, because the pathology and the sociology of it, how do you become that level of evil because you become this drunk on power? And also, by the way, are you willing to make leaps after that now that you're reading some of these details about Diddy? Well, what do we think about what happened to Biggie and some mysterious death situations? Because if you're willing to do this with power, what's the big leap to the other stuff you're willing to do to hide that you're doing this with power?
Yeah, it's just wild when you think that Diddy himself I used to think, hey, maybe he's so drunk on fame and doing whatever he can do that it just normalizes the situation. It doesn't seem that crazy. And yet you go back and listen to old interviews of him and he'll tell you, hey, I'm probably going to get arrested for what's going on in my parties years from now. So it's not normalizing it. It's not him doing things that he thinks are okay. It's just him grabbing at the power and saying, hey, I'm going to, scratch on every itch that I have in my life. And if it goes a little too far, whatever.
Can you guys look up for me something? Because I remember years ago, the first time I started thinking of any of this stuff, I'd heard a story about Belinda Carlisle, a lead singer of the Go-Go's, and just what fame did to her when she became someone who used a lot of drugs and also had the #1 song in the world, where in order to feel alive, the way the story was told to me, she would go into gas station bathrooms and lick the corners of the floors to get off her whatever the numbness was of fame being such a distorter that all of a sudden, and power being such a distorter, that you don't even know how to live a normal life and have to go find things that make you feel.
I think you're seeking the numbness, actually. You don't want to feel anything when you're that level of famous. You're looking for the, I don't have to worry about this, how I act in public. I don't have to worry about if you have an addiction, let's say. I don't have to worry about addressing this and other people dealing with me. So you would do something as crazy as that just to have your brain focus on something else.
I want to transition awkwardly back to some sports stuff. Jeremy is dying to talk baseball. Tony, Mike Schur is ripping you to anyone who will listen for saying the other day that you didn't know that Ricky Henderson was so good at stealing bags.
I do have a question about that to you, Tony. What did you think Ricky Henderson was particularly good at?
No, great at stealing bases. I know the picture of him like holding the base over his head. I just didn't know he had 138 of them.
So you think he picked it up after like stolen base number 25?
No, I thought it was.
Why'd you think he picked it up? I mean, that would suggest
career.
you're the greatest at what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, stealing bases.
I thought it was a career milestone that he had passed.
Oh, Jesus.
Therefore, he grabs it, puts it over his head. Hey, wow, I hit the 750.
That was right up there for me with Stugotz saying, Edmonton Oilers, not a lot of people know they have a lot of rings or a lot of cups. And he, the guy who knows the GOATs, all he knows is the GOATs and the greatest and the champs, and should know that Wayne Gretzky won multiple cups in Edmonton. That one right there, Tony, same level.
What year was that? Do you guys have it off the top of your head?
On Ricky Henderson?
Yeah.
It would have been last century. It would have been
like 1980 something?
Early 90s, I'm going to guess.
Early
maybe
90s.
late 80s. Maybe late 80s.
I wasn't born yet, so.
Okay, well, we're happy to teach you. I'm just telling you that Schur is ripping you from every angle. I just want you to know
it hasn't come to me yet, so he hasn't been saying it in the right places.
Okay.
Must be saying it on
when
pitch
Michael
clock.
Jordan was drafted either, but you know about him.
Yeah, but he says.
How old is Mike Schur?
A Fernie Hardaway. He said a
Freeney.
Fernie
A Freeney
Hardaway.
instead of Freeney.
I'm sorry, a Freeney. My bad.
I didn't have my glasses on that day. You know that.
The thing that I wanted to transition, though, to, I wanted to ask you guys this as Jeremy hears the baseball talk and scurries back into the room because he's just dying to talk about all the stuff going on in baseball. We were denied something yesterday, by the way. The White Sox beat the Angels. So instead of celebrating the good baseball, I wanted badly to celebrate today that the White Sox were officially the worst team in baseball history. But we will have to wait a day, and I'm kind of hoping they go on a winning streak the rest of the way here to avoid it. I don't want them to actually be the worst team in baseball, but they're going to have to win like 7 or 8 straight games, right?
Winning out would be amazing.
Quickly, we've done the research. 1982 was when Ricky Henderson had 130 stolen bases. 11 years before I was born.
Yeah. 42 years ago. I mean,
what are we talking about?
But
did
still,
it even happen if it happened 42 years
But Tony, it's word association. Like, Ricky Henderson, stolen bases.
Yes,
you knew that.
Yes, I did. Just 130 of them feels like a lot when we're making a big deal about Ohtani stealing 50.
John Sterling, I don't know if you guys saw this, and I'm curious what you guys think of it, because Bobby Bowden said famously that he didn't want to retire from coaching because he said there's only one big event after you retire where people gather for you.
Greg Cody's birthday party.
And John Sterling retired at the age of 80 earlier this season because he didn't want to endure what is a terribly long baseball season. But after a 5-month retirement, all of a sudden, he's totally back. The Yankees are in the playoffs, and he's strolling back into the booth. He's strolling back into the booth and I can't believe he's allowed to do it. He retired, and good for him, by the way. He should be allowed to do it.
He is John Sterling. He is a legend. When he wants to walk back into that booth, he walks back into that booth, and he doesn't ask anyone a single question. I mean, that's it. He's Sterling.
Can I play for you guys the only thing that I associate with John Sterling, which is him being hit by a foul ball in the booth?
Now the 3-2 swung on, a pop foul back here. Ow! Ow! Ow!
I've only
really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far. You know, that foul ball actually hit me. It kind of glanced off my forehead. So I took one for the team.
Play that again, please, and then freeze it for me where it is afterward, where it is that he just gets hit in the face and it knocks his glasses off.
3-2 swung on, a pop foul back here.
It bounced off something and went up off the top of his brow. He's got a freshly dyed hair. Looks amazing
Allegedly.
right there, allegedly. And then
Man, that looks like it hurt. I can't believe he kept it going. He stayed professional.
I can't believe his glasses stayed on his head too.
Started weeping.
This is
behind the bit.
This is
behind the bit. This is behind
the bit, where we go back in time, we peel back the curtain, and we explain to you how bits made. It was a better time. It was a time where we were trying.
So,
Sorry, guys.
That's okay. Can you explain phlegm brand to us and how it came to be?
I mean, I was just coughing.
This is where it came to be right here, that he's always a little phlegmy. He hasn't taken care of his voice.
ESPN Radio is presented.
Oh!
I'm with Lewis on this.
Oh, my God.
Taking his shirt off, doing stuff like that. Shirt off, doing stuff like that. Taking his shirt off, doing stuff like that. No chance.
Man.
The mic is right.
Oh, man.
As I recall, we were testing the theory during Art Basel whether art was subjective or not. And Stugotz said, watch this. I bet you I can just go down there and sell art on the street. And then he did. He just charmed his way into, I don't know, you got a few $100s for
I think we got
stuff.
like $400 or $500 for all those. We should have gotten more now that I'm thinking about it.
What Billy is holding up for the TV audience, for the radio audience, what Billy is holding up is the Kevin Durant trophy case. It is KD's trophy case. It is one of my favorite pieces. I worked very, very hard on it. Took me nearly 6 months to complete. That is Kevin Durant's trophy case. We call it KD's trophy case. I'm going to autograph that thing. I really think it's the prize piece today, and I'm expecting to get at least 4 figures for it. That is a piece I like to call Murray! And so really what
It's
is...
two pieces.
It's 2 pieces. We worked very hard on this. I worked very hard on it. I will autograph it. I'll try to get Murray to autograph it as well.
What is this here?
That is the Gates of the franchise.
Okay, so for the radio audience, these are 2 giant eyeballs, and the Jets coach it's just a Jets hat and a couple of squiggles.
The Gase one was great. I played golf with him like a week later after I did that. Made fun of his face.
That was an unnecessary name drop there.
I'm just saying, well, it lends to, how shameless I am. The fact that I did that to Adam Gase, sold a picture, made some money, and then acted like it never happened and played golf with him. But the theory behind it was I hate when people go to these art shows and they see something that they think only they can see. Oh, here's what I see. No, I don't see that. No, you don't see that. No, you're talking yourself into why this thing is so valuable. And so I told Dan, I can go out and do, a couple of prints, paint a few things, a little Adam Gase, Kevin Durant trophy case, J.J. Watt, doing some stuff, no rings, all that stuff, Chris Paul. And I could command a lot of money because beauty is in the eye of the beholder, okay?
Here's what's not in the eye of the beholder, because the people beholding that and actually holding that don't know Stugotz didn't paint any of those. Billy did all of that. That is counterfeit art that they bought. It's not even the real thing.
And we should have gotten more.
Yes,
for the counterfeit arts.
For his fraud.
For the fake arts.
Yes, Flembrandt should have earned more.
I have a bid right now, Dan. I have a $30 bid right now on Gase of the franchise. The gentleman with the dog has bid $30 on the Gase of the franchise. I also have a bid on KD's trophy case. It's not a big bid. It's only $20, but we're just getting started here, okay? I want to make a bid. We have a $20 bid on that. Yeah, let's go, man. There's a man waving cash outside of his U-Haul. Park that thing illegally. Just
all right, things are heating up. Find out what Flembrandt has sold after this. Traffic is now stopping in the street. Now we got a crowd. Now things are happening.
Cha-ching. All right, so Dan, we are done here. We have 40 for Kevin Durant's trophy case. We have 40 for Adam Gase's Gase of the franchise. We have 40 for Murray, and I am throwing the Tennessee Titans into the deal. Okay. 8-8.
On the art day, did someone walk away without paying?
No, what are you, crazy?
What's the matter with you? There's no circumstance under which Stugotz is going to allow someone else to walk away with what is his rightful money.
Wait, one of our winners is walking away without paying. Hold on. We got to go. I think we're going to pull the plug on this. I think we got to collect. Go get that guy back. Go get him back. All right, we have to go. We have to get money from these people.
He ran off without paying.
But a lot of people walked away paying way too much for what they bought.
That's true. Yes. That is true. And again, walked away with counterfeit art, not even painted by Stugotz.
not.
Anyone can be an artist, though. You agree, right?
You just throw a bunch of different
splats on a canvas and boom,
But he didn't do any of the splats.
There's a bird.
Billy did the splats.
He did. Anyone can be an artist, though. You agree, right? Now that you're thinking about it.
No.
What do you mean, no?
No. Anyone can
You throw some
claim-
yellow here, some
No.
aqua there, some
No.
green down there, you know, a little red.
No.
Mix in some brown.
He's just naming colors.
Right.
Yeah, no, don't pick that up. That's art. Please don't pick that up. That is art. That is not garbage. It is art.
Billy seems enraged back there.
Well, he should be.
I'm fine.
It seems like
It's an incomplete story.
You were
It's a
yelling
it's
throughout
a false
the bit. Wait a
documentary.
minute.
It's a fake documentary.
What do you
That's
mean
fine. We
you're
gotta put out lies.
fine?
That's fine. I'm fine.
What you said you're fine. You were screaming in
I'm fine.
my headset the entire time that was playing. I was up all night. I did all the painting.
No, what I said was, we did a thing on something I was involved in. It would have been nice to actually be asked about the process. But if we're just gonna, make up fake documentary lies, that's fine. If that's what we want to put out, that's fine.
Not bad.
I'm not mad.
I don't
I'm not mad.
believe
That's fine.
that Behind the Bit is a documentary.
Just take it all with a grain of salt is what I would advise the viewers. We're going to exclude the people who are intricate in the execution of these things. That's fine.
Okay. Samson, what are you making faces about? Just generally, Billy's temperament disgusts you, or what is it that you're making faces about? Nothing Personal is the name of his podcast. You can catch him every day live on YouTube. His podcast and the video is climbing steadily, getting more and more popular. DraftKings has a great deal of value for what David Samson is doing with Nothing Personal. Why are you shaking your head?
It's integral.
That's what you're mad about?
It's not intricate, Billy. It's integral.
It's been a long day. I've got a lot of long emails today.
It can't be a long day already. It's been
buddy.
an hour and 10 minutes.
Okay.
It's 10:10. I mean,
It is early in the
o'clock
day,
somewhere.
but there aren't a lot of people here with stamina, David. You don't sleep, so that's part of the reason you're able to go 20 and 22 hours a day. Let's talk about some of the things going on in sports here real quick with David Samson. The Oakland A's thing is making me really sad, and it has been for a while. That is a good baseball town, and they've ruined everything there. And now John Fisher wrote a letter to A's fans yesterday, and I'm curious. Larry Beal went off on him. Stugotz, did you know that Larry Beal, formerly of SportsCenter, is now doing broadcasts on the West Coast? I was not aware that he was still in the game.
I had no idea. I was not aware as well, and I'm glad he's still doing it.
It is. It's something exciting. What did you make of that letter, David?
It gives you hope, Stugotz.
It does.
You can
yeah.
disappear from the zeitgeist and then appear when there's a relevant story. It's interesting. Teams have relocated before, and of course the owner's going to be the bad guy. And people remember, people still walk around Brooklyn asking where the Dodgers are. And Art Modell is not exactly a fan favorite, and neither am I necessarily in Montreal. But what John Fisher's done has just been so clumsy. And the letter that he wrote and he signed to the fans, it was so disingenuous. It had a spelling mistake in the letter, which is amazing. He ought to fire his ghostwriter. Stu, it would be like you having a spelling mistake in your book. It would be absurd. And so I was just shocked by that letter, by the timing of the letter. Of course, people are at the games now stealing seats from the Coliseum.
Stugotz just whispered in my ear while you were talking, and I didn't hear the last sentence you said because he just said to me, how did Larry Beal not parlay his ESPN career into a show that's called What's the Beal?
Thank you. Thank you.
good.
Thank you. Tony likes it.
So good.
The Real Deal with Larry Beal?
Oh, wow. That's a better show.
Well, here's the real deal with Larry Beal right now. Listen to how mad he got about this letter.
All right. So you heard Fisher's statement. Let me tell you what reality is, okay? John, you tried 5 different, extremely flawed stadium proposals. You never got even close to a shovel in the ground. Yes, Oakland politics is often a mess. I will give you that. But John, you surround yourself with incompetent yes men, and because you were born into a billionaire family, apparently never learned you have to spend money to make money. See Joe Lacob and the Golden State Warriors, your buddy, who still wants to buy the team. John, you're a serial penny pincher. You've destroyed your family's great name and legacy because of your cheapness. As for the statement about loyal A's fans, quote, I wish I could speak to each and every one of you individually, end quote, Seriously? John, we've been trying to interview you for years, but you always choose to remain invisible unless you're begging politicians for public funding. And then you're out in front in Las Vegas. Okay.
Okay.
So let me just deal with this.
Wow.
For all A's fans, I
Whoa.
can't do this enough.
What?
And that's the real deal with Larry Beal.
Yeah. He was so much better than Samson with his A's take. How was his A's take so much better than Samson's?
You showed 1 minute. If you listen to yesterday's Nothing Personal, you can get a 10-minute take on that
That's
letter.
too long. I mean,
I don't need 10 minutes.
Why 10 when I can get it in one? I mean,
Good point.
We wanted 1 good minute here from you, not 10 good minutes over there, and your recycled slop over here. Why? What's the Beal with Larry Beal being better than you at
Now
the
you're talking.
A's take?
More gestures,
He's
David.
lived it. He's despondent beyond repair. The fact is that the A's are going and they're trying to get expansion, and I don't think he should have done that in that platform because MLB looks at stuff like that, and they're not happy with what's going on in Oakland.
Tell me what you thought yesterday when you saw Brett Favre, who's alleged to do some really despicable stuff to some of the poorest people in America, when he's going in front of the politicians and saying he's had thousands of concussions and now has Parkinson's. Your best friend has Parkinson's. You do a lot of work. In this area, and this is an awful kind of prison. Throwing Parkinson's out there as a diagnosis is something that will engender some empathy.
It reminded me of when Kevin Spacey decided to come out. I know you just talked about this. When he came out as a way to fight against the sexual abuse allegations, he then decided to come out of the closet and say that he was gay. Brett Favre is accused and in the middle of major problems because he stole money that was supposed to go toward welfare recipients. And in fact, it's a whole fraud and scam. He used it as part of helping out his alma mater, which was very nice of him. But then he goes and tries to say, listen, I just want to say I got a lot of concussions. I maybe thousands. And by the way, I've got Parkinson's. So I feel badly about that fact because Parkinson's is a nightmare. But the way that he chose to go public, that's not helping raise money for Parkinson's. That's not forwarding the mission of any of the organizations. It was done in his own self-interest, which, of course, tracks with who Brett Favre is.
Jeremy is dying to talk baseball. He's now at a whiteboard there. He's finally got someone here who would like to talk baseball with him. Let's go out to the other room and Jeremy and his whiteboard so he can bore us to death with baseball talk, even though I love baseball, but this room does not get the baseball talk. What do you have, Jeremy?
Nothing boring about what happened yesterday in Major League Baseball. We're in the final week of the season, and we're going to start right here with the NL West. The Dodgers and the Padres last night. It's unbelievable what happened in this game. The Padres 3 games back of the Dodgers for the division going into the game. And in the bottom of the ninth, you had 2 runners on first and second, nobody out. Shohei Ohtani on deck. Miguel Rojas at the plate with the Dodgers down 2. And then watch what happens on this play.
Rojas on the ground at third. Machado touches third, fires to second.
Oh.
It's a triple play. It ends the ball game.
Wow. Holy shit.
That was cool.
That's a triple play. That's a triple play to end the game. No team had ever ended a game on a triple play to clinch a playoff spot. That's
crazy.
Exactly what the San Diego Padres
All right,
did.
Jeremy, you're doing
They're
it.
now 2 games back of the Dodgers with 2 games to play in that series and have an opportunity to catch them, potentially make the Dodgers a wild card team. And when we look at the rest of the NL, before we get back to you guys, the Diamondbacks and Giants played last night. Diamondbacks lose 11-0 to the Giants, who are out of it. Diamondbacks have lost 3 in a row. The Braves and Mets play. They both still have a shot at a wild card spot. Likely only one of them will get in unless the Diamondbacks collapse. Braves beat the Mets 5-1 in that game. They're now just a game apart. So as you look at that wild card picture, the Padres, who were chasing the Dodgers, they're at the top. But then the Mets are a half game up of Arizona. It's okay. You don't need to. I'm explaining it to you right now. okay? The Mets are a half game up of Arizona. They're the 2 and 3, and then just a half game out behind Arizona, a game back of the Mets, are the Braves. It's so close. Those teams playing each other. The Braves playing the Royals later. It's going to be amazing, but we'll get to the AL in a second. Back to you, Daniel.
All right. Thank you, Daniel.
Regular Larry Beal out there.
What did you think? What did you think of that analysis, baseball last night, and how excited are you in general for everything that's happening down the stretch here, David?
That was a Sports Center recap if I ever heard one, using unlicensed clips. But it is exciting. Last week, there's something major going on in Atlanta right now. You know that hurricane you were talking about, they're expecting 9 inches of rain in Atlanta over the next day and a half. And what they're going to have to do, if they can't, yes, you will need more than 7 beach towels. I can promise you that at Truist Park. But if the games can't be played against the Mets and they end up mattering, there's going to have to be a game on Monday where the Mets or Braves could be playing for their playoff lives. And MLB has been trying to avoid those Monday games to give teams an off day before the playoffs, and they may have no choice.
Izzy, I saw a story yesterday that made me think of David Sampson and how much he would have delighted in doing this. Detroit Tiger Rowdy Tellez was 4 at-bats from a $400,000 bonus. Thank you. a $200,000 bonus. He was 4 at-bats from it, and then next thing you know, they bench him. They say he is not going to get to.
So they DFA'd him. He's not even on the team anymore. Yeah.
Dan, you weren't even close.
Get out of here. Even if everyone gets injured, you're not getting in this game. You're not on the team anymore. Goodbye.
That's insane. That's so screwed up to do to that guy.
David, you ever do anything like that to anyone?
It's the Pirates. He got designated, and it's plate appearances, not at bats. Other than that, I love the intro to the story, Dan.
Yeah.
Yes, the Pirates are idiots. They should have done this 2 weeks ago. You don't wait until you have 4 at bats. Of course, you're going to save the $200,000. Why wouldn't you? But you can't make it look this obvious and then stick your manager in front of cameras and have him lie and say, no, it had nothing to do with this. It was about getting minor leaguers playing time. What a bunch of horse hockey. There's going to be agreements.
The organization's doing that for $200,000? That's nothing.
Boy, I'm glad you're not in charge of Meadowlark's finances. Yes.
We are not a Major League Baseball organization. I said we. Sorry about that.
It's not we yet. No, $200,000 matters. Come on, Izzy. Get in the game.
It's gross. And you endorsing it is foul.
When you sign a contract that has incentives, I would actually walk around with in my briefcase that had every player contract and every incentive level, because we would track it after every game in terms of innings pitched or games finished. That's the responsible way that you have to handle it. And if the Pirates were in the playoffs, then they wouldn't have done this. You pay the $200,000, but knowing that your season's over, you absolutely need to save that money.
David, it's not you knowing how this works that's uncomfortable about this. It's that you say this all with a smile on your face.
Yeah, he loves
that's
it.
the part of this.
Chris, I will explain the smile. The smile is that the stupidity of Pittsburgh makes us all look bad. That is the problem. But the way everybody operates their business, whether it's baseball or media companies, you do it responsibly. And so that is just that. I'm not smiling. I'm smiling at the idiocy.
You were smiling.
But I'm reveling in the fact that you guys disagree.
No, you were smiling and you were very much enjoying that an organization did this. I don't even understand why you would lie about the fact that you were smiling. We all saw you smiling. Like,
pure joy.
You were happy.
I'm trying to
about
smile as much as possible. I'm trying to.
Okay. When people do bad things, when organizations do bad things to save money to other people, like
not bad things, overtly bad things. David likes it when you keep it in secret, when you hold them back 4 games during the middle of the season so they don't know.
4 at-bats. It's not even games. It's 4 at-bats.
It's plate appearances. It's not even at-bats or games.
That is unbelievably cheap, though, David. You can't disagree with the fact, even though we got all the facts wrong, I got all the facts wrong, you can't disagree that that's uncommonly cheap to have become public.
It would not have been public if he had been released 2 weeks ago. it's only a story because it was 4 plate appearances before the next threshold. It's silly of them, and they're going to pay the price for that. But no, when you sign a contract that has incentives in it, whether it's a TV appearance deal, let's say you do an appearance deal where at 10 appearances you make X dollars, but at 11 you make X plus a factor of 10, it's very likely that you're not going to make that 11th appearance.
Let's go back out to Jeremy at the whiteboard to get yet more incredibly small handwriting.
Despite the small handwriting, big plays being made across Major League Baseball. In the AL East, the Yankees and the Orioles last night, Aaron Judge hits his 56th home run. Don't know if any of you care about that. But later in the game, the Yankees are down 2. Juan Soto up to bat, runners on second and third with 2 outs. Aaron Judge sitting on deck, just having hit his 56th home run. Let's watch and see what happens on this play with Gleyber Torres on the bases.
The 2-1. Line drive, it's a base hit to right field. 1 run scores. They're going to hold up Torres. Soto's going to second. The throw is not in time. Now they have Torres hung up. He's in a rundown. Rushman makes the throw to third, and Torres is out to end the inning.
Could have had 2 runners in scoring position for the Yankees with Aaron Judge up, down 1. Instead, Gleyber Torres makes the base running mistake. He's thrown out, and then the Orioles go on to win 5-3. They clinch a playoff spot. It's the first time in 27 years that they've clinched back-to-back postseason berths. And then there was this incredible sound in their postgame celebration.
Did I hear that you went to see The Great Gatsby last night?
I did. The third understudy was going for Daisy. She was excellent. Excellent show. My stomach was killing me. I had a bazooki right before, and but I got through it.
Do you feel that the power of the third understudy for Daisy led you to this postseason clinching win?
I don't know. Let's take a selfie, though.
Okay, let's take a selfie. We've just taken a selfie on the cows.
I don't know what Colton Cowser is doing there, but I love every single second of it. The energy's amazing. Maybe this will be the thing that helps the Orioles get back going.
What's a bazooki?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Buddy, hold on. You guys need to know what a bazooki is.
You guys don't know?
Billy, please. This is one of the greatest inventions we've ever had. A bazooki is a baked skillet cookie that you put ice cream on top of, and then you eat it throughout.
Oh, it's like a pizza cookie.
It's a pizza
cookie.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju at Le Batard Show. Do you know what a pazooki is? You were saying, Jeremy.
No, I was going to say we can cover the rest of the American League in the wild card, but I think we should get back to David for a minute. We can come back to me, and I can let you guys know what's going on there.
Shout out to third understudy.
The Orioles, they're going to be good for a long time. That was a clean baseball game. They have not been very good over the last 6 weeks or so. They've just been okay.
Oh, were the Rays not playing?
Yes, I missed the Rays game. I've checked out on the Rays now, and I'm enjoying Orioles baseball. David, the Yankees, I mean, those are 2 incredible seasons they're getting from Soto and Judge, but I believe the Orioles are every bit as good as they are.
The Orioles, shout out to Freddie Gonzalez and Brandon Hyde, 2 Marlins guys who are the manager and bench coach over in Baltimore. They're doing it. They tanked and they lost and they hit on their draft picks, and now they're enjoying an open window of being competitive. They have a new owner. A lot of questions will be asked about what money will be spent and when. Their trade deadline pickups were not great, including the former Marlin pitcher Trevor Rogers, who's been terrible for the Orioles and was actually sent down in a short series. Would I take the Orioles pitching staff over the Yankees? I would. But if Soto and Judge are hot and then you have Stanton in that lineup, the Yankees have a chance to win the pennant. But remember what happened to the Dodgers last year. They got swept out of the playoffs when Freeman and Betts had a bad series, and that could happen with Soto and Judge, and that'd be the end of the Yankees.
What is the movie you're reviewing for us this week?
Can we talk about Ellen DeGeneres, please? She just dropped a special on Netflix, and it just dropped, I think, in the last couple of days, called For Your Approval. And it's her big comeback after being canceled. Her show was canceled. Remember everything that happened on set. And she's pretty deadpan in her humor. And then about a half hour in or 20 minutes in, she just brings up, so, hey, I'm back. And I was canceled because I'm mean. And she starts going through all these things. But it's such a silly concept to say you've been kicked out of show business when you're on Netflix. So I found it to be a little disingenuous. I found it not to be all that funny. She's got some amount of self-deprecation that's cute, but other than that, it's a straight pass.
I wanted to ask you what you make of what Netflix is doing. They're now in negotiations for a live Hot Ones, which is going to be a big hit, and the Tom Brady roast. They're killing it in sports. The Tom Brady roast is the biggest comedy special that they've had this year. They got like 5 million more people than anything Chappelle is doing. What do you make of the moves that Netflix is making, David?
We talked about this a little on the Sporting Class, the show that John Skipper and I do with Pablo Torre. It's very interesting. They're not spending too much money on rights. Now, they've done some deals in wrestling, and they're doing some live events, and now they're going to have some games, the Christmas games with the NFL, but they're trying not to do huge rights deals. The cost of doing that roast, it's de minimis compared to what it is to do a full slate of league games. And so what they're claiming is that they're so profitable in every part of their business that they can just sort of work sports in as an extra, as opposed to other streamers who are using sports as a loss leader, willing to overpay to get the content in order to drive traffic and get subs into the streamer. And this is what happens when you say the rich get richer. That's how Netflix can do this philosophy.
I asked earlier in the show, and we'll let you go on this note, I asked the group to check the internet and tell me which is the biggest company, Apple, Google, or Amazon. Which is the biggest company in America, David? Do you know?
I don't know where their stocks are now, but I would guess that it would be Amazon. But you just have to look at the number of outstanding shares times the share price, or you can look up market cap of the company. It's a quick little Google, Jeremy, where you can GTS it and figure out who has the biggest market cap today.
Been waiting for it for 45 minutes. Thank you, David.
Yeah, that's a very simple one.
Appreciate it. Thank you, David.
See.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Are you surprised that Apple is bigger than Amazon? Because I am. I would have guessed that Amazon was the biggest company that we had in America, but it is not. Apple is first at the moment. I don't understand at all what's happening with NVIDIA or if I'm even pronouncing that correctly.
You are.
I'm not sure I am, actually. I think I'm pronouncing it wrong, but NVIDIA is also ahead of Amazon, and that's surprising to me. I would have just assumed that Amazon was the biggest thing going in America.
My guess was Apple just because of the amount of Apple devices I have in my house. It's just crazy, and I have to get like a new desktop, but now I can get this little portable thing that you can just take with you anywhere, which is also like a desktop, and I'm like, well, let me have that too. So I figured Apple has thousands and thousands of my dollars.
I assume that because you can get Apple via Amazon and can't get Amazon via Apple, I just assumed that one would be bigger than the other because can you? You can.
My wife buys a ton of Amazon shit on her iPhone.
Oh, that yeah. Well,
okay, and I guess you could do the Apple Cash app as well. They've got all our money, and soon,
they're just playing ping pong with our money.
Where is Google? Where is Google?
Google is fifth. So the top five is Apple first, Microsoft second, Nvidia third, Amazon fourth, and Alphabet/Google fifth.
Well said.
I want to ask the group something here because I am forever amused by how people at microphones underestimate how strong and excellent people who are playing sports are. I saw some video of Odell Beckham doing something in the weight room. Keep in mind, he is not healthy enough to play football. Do you know what the PUP list stands for, Stugotz? Do you know what PUP, the acronym PUP, stands for?
Player unable to perform?
So close.
Close enough.
Damn. 2 out of 3 days.
Physically unable to perform. But this, I want you to look at what it is that Odell Beckham is doing here in the
starts with an F.
weight room. Yeah, that's right.
I did, actually.
Look at what Odell Beckham is doing. Again, this is not strong enough to play in the NFL right now. Izzy can speak to how difficult it is to do these one-legged or those piston squats. Like, what kind of squat is he doing here, and what's the amount of weight that is on his shoulders? Again, this is a player. When I tell you his lower body has to be so very strong, and it's not equipped or healthy enough right now to play football, even though he's coming off the PUP list and the Dolphins are expecting him back soon.
I think those squats are Bulgarian and
split squats, yeah.
Bulgarian.
Oh,
split
enough.
Squats.
They're just squats.
No, they're not, because squats is with 2. You're doing the back with 1, and then you're going down. That's 365 plus the chains, which add what? Is he like another 20? So like 385 split
the chains,
squat?
I mean, it depends on how long those chains are, how big those chains are, but that's a lot of weight. When the bar is bending like that, it's beyond my weight range. I saw somebody, his name was Santos Cyril. He's going to be in the NBA eventually, but I think he's going to Kentucky next year. He was doing, when you said one-legged squats, was doing one-legged squats, not like that back foot up, just doing one-legged squats. And I'm thinking, dude, that's probably not safe. But it's also, we've gotten to the point where these athletes are so ridiculously strong and so athletic and can do so, like, these feats of strength are ridiculous. You see, like, Instagram influencers just doing some crazy stuff that these professional athletes can do like nothing, like muscle ups and all these other things. It's insane. And like you mentioned, he's not even healthy. Like that leg that he put on the back is not even healthy.
If he can do that, he can play football.
Yep.
His hands work, you can catch the ball.
Correct.
If you're doing that and putting out the videos, get on the field.
Do something on the field. Yep.
Exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Not up to him.
Is he going to have to be carrying 800 pounds on his back? No. Catch the ball, run 5 yards, get hit, run out of bounds, whatever. You can do it.
Football seems easier.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm glad we discussed this. I'm glad that
you don't think that is a sign that he can play football? He can play football.
I do think that all that stuff is unnecessary. Like, why do we have all these chains? Can't you just put more weights on that thing? Can't you just buy bigger weights?
Can't you just play football?
Are the chains,
if this was week 1 of the playoffs, he'd be out there playing football right now.
Yep.
So let's not.
Are the chains? Or there's balance stuff. You need some core help. The chains.
That's attaboy, Dano. That's right. The chains are used for that because they're not stabilized, right? So you're trying to stabilize your weight as you're going down.
I'm really always stunned by how strong these human beings are, how ridiculous the science of all of this is, and the amount of training that's going into these military schools for organized football violence, of training these robots to be superhuman.
Well, sometimes it's science, and sometimes it's Mark Ingram pushing a car or something like that.
Go
It's
outside, grab a log like a lumberjack, lift that around, move it this way, move it that way, boom, core workout. You're done. You're good. You're fine.
Here comes the Rocky reference from Stugotz working out in Siberia. Stugotz was railing the other day because he's muttering under his breath, McCaffrey, Germany.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I always have doubts when a guy can't get healthy in the United States of America, and then the team announces they're going to Germany, and they do it like this. Christian cares so much about getting back on the field. He cares so much about his body. He cares so much about being in shape that he is willing to fly to Germany to get the proper doctor's care and the proper medication. Get out of here. We all know what's in Germany.
What? You gonna finish?
You guys know. I mean, I don't need to tell you. Everyone knows what's in Germany.
Stuff that isn't legal here.
Damn good schnitzel. That's what's in
that
Germany.
we need.
Bingo.
Here's the thing. Well, the NFL's in Germany like once a year now.
That's true. Good point. Yeah.
Here's a question. How did we go from we're not sure if he's going to play week 1, 2 days before the game, to all of a sudden, oh, we need to go to Germany to solve this problem? Seems like Kyle Shanahan maybe was lying.
What are you guys assuming is being done in Germany? Because I
Things that aren't able to be done here, clearly.
I mean, we have good doctors here in the United States of America. Do we not? Why do you have to go all the way to Germany? Why did Kobe have to go to Europe when he was alive?
Cheaper.
Rest in peace, Kobe. But why did Kobe have to travel across the pond, go to Europe to get himself fixed up? Huh? Why?
Because there's stuff that we can't use here that they can use there.
Like what, though? Because like
stem cells,
little
like
inside information.
high-level stuff.
I've got a football tournament in a month, and a friend of mine is going to take me to a place up in Jupiter. I'm pretty sure it's just straight up blood doping. I'm going to do it. And I'll report back as to see and let you know how good that makes
That's what
you
I
feel.
assume Germany is. That's what I'm always assuming is happening in Germany. Some sort of strange blood mixing that is healing that we're not allowed to do in the United
Platelets and
States.
plasma and whatnot.
Yeah,
all that
all
stuff
that
is
stuff.
Colombia, Mexico. A lot of like UFC fighters go to those other countries,
Oxygen.
get their stem cells done, and then come back and they're like, all right, I'm ready.
Get
But
the
he-
stem cells done, yeah.
But he doesn't really care more than anyone else. He's just going to get illegal stuff in Germany, is what you're saying, Tony, right?
Yeah, I mean, he cares enough about his body that
I
he's
guess
going
he
to go
cares
to
enough
another
to cheat.
country. Yeah.
He does, yeah.
I just think there's real expertise in the way Tony's describing this when he says get their
Expert.
stem cells done.
Trim your stem cells, you know.
Well, you get
just-
stem cells injected
them up.
into your body, right? And like
Yeah.
that's what regenerates the growth of whatever ligament or
Yeah.
muscle or whatever that you're doing. You take those stem cells, those peptides, you put them in there, and all of a sudden
Peptides,
it's like
don't forget about the
superhuman
peptides.
healing.
Again,
Why do they have to tell them where Christian McCaffrey is? Why can't he just go to Germany and do this
It's a
thing on
good
his
question.
own? Anybody have an answer?
I
or-
don't know.
HIPAA?
It does make it so that I immediately question what
It's the
you're
opposite of
doing.
HIPAA.
Yes, it's
Right.
It's GIPA, actually, Germany.
There you go. Yeah, H stands for United States.
Send them somewhere,
It's
Dan.
not GIPA. It's
We've got a major penalty.
Other than that, though, he was right about the peptides and such.
yeah.
Knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. You ever been to Germany?
I need to go for my ankle, funny enough.
I don't know if you guys have been getting any of the clips on Greg Maddox and the documentary that's about to come out on the genius of Greg Maddox, but we've gotten officially to the bullshit portion of the storytelling on legacy building. Now, I have heard stories over the years that Greg Maddox, for example, would watch the way that somebody was being pitched and say, guys, you're going to need to be careful in this dugout here. 3 pitches from now, there's going to be a screaming line drive that comes into this dugout because of the way this person is being pitched. And then it would happen. There's a lot of urban myth about how great this guy who threw 91 miles per hour knew how to trick people. And he had his personal catcher, Eddie Perez, and I'm calling bullshit on this story prematurely.
We were regular season and we were winning like 8-0. It was easy game in the 8th inning. And he told me, don't throw anything inside on Bagwell. Call everything outside. And I said, okay. I think it was somebody on. And he wants to go inside. And I go, okay, you know, it's your game. So I went inside, called inside, and Bagwell hit like 1,000-mile. And I was mad. And I was like, what are you doing? And he goes, they got a good team. We got a good team. We're going to play them in the playoff. He's going to wait for that pitch. 3 months later, we're in the playoff, bases loaded in the 7th. We threw 3 straight changes and struck him out. And I was walking to the dugout. He goes, hey. And I look at him. He said, you remember 3 months ago, 2 months ago? And I said, no, I don't. He was looking for that pitch, the homer that he hit. And I was like, this guy. It's how smart he was.
Goosebumps.
What percentage of that is bullshit? Because I'm going about 80%.
Zero. I believe all of it.
Oh,
They for the people listening, there's a clip there where you see him after striking him out in the playoffs, like heckling his catcher. Hey, remember that?
So the claim is that he purposely gave up a home run to Bagwell during a regular season game because he knew he would face him 3 months later.
Why would you need to tell your catcher you're going inside if you're just going to put a meatball out there?
No,
you saw the pitch; it was right down
He
the
had
middle.
told him previously we're never throwing inside,
Yeah.
but then it hit him. Hey, let's give him this one now
Yep.
to set him up for the playoffs. So he goes, hey, we're coming inside.
Yeah, whenever I struggle in a regular season, I'm just going to say, "No, I meant to do that. I meant to do that." I'm just going to turn it on in the playoffs.
They were up by a lot, so the home run was insignificant. He notoriously would do stuff like this in spring training also to like build up confidence in here. That's why they call him the professor. He's always thinking ahead.
Well said.
I don't know
which,
why.
by the way, this is what I told you, and it's early on. Watch the Chiefs and Travis Kelce. I'm just telling you, some of this may be going on with Travis Kelce. You just give people,
I see.
Travis Kelce playing possum. I'm telling you, come playoff time, Kelce's going to be there. He's going to be wide open. He's going to have a 75, 80, 100-yard game like that.
It's a great strategy. Think about it, because you want people to think that Kelce is down now. But when you get to the postseason, Kelce explodes, right? You're not paying enough attention to him. You're probably putting the wrong guy on him. And then all of a sudden, Kelce becomes Kelce again because it's the postseason.
You start doubling on Xavier Worthy, and then boom,
right.
Travis Kelce open right up the middle.
Xavier Worthy, Kelce is laughing down the middle of the field.
Yep.
I mean, unbelievable.
Why is it that Xavier Worthy just keeps getting a couple of catches for 17 yards when he's faster than everyone else? And why is Stugotz being allowed to talk
Seriously.
Chiefs here?
Get
for
out of here.
Like
Oh, man.
Stugotz minor penalty, 2 minutes for Chiefs talk.
Had to sneak it in there.
Playing possum with Xavier Worthy also.
Unworthy.
Something to look at.
I don't know if it was the music in that story, but I got goosebumps during that Greg Maddox story. It was just good music underneath.
Taylor Swift on the world tour. Travis Kelce, 2 different places. Maybe getting a little stem cells, injected into him.
Can you guys explain to me how it is that you come about believing that a player is so good that he would purposely give up a home run to Jeff Bagwell because he knows he's going to face him 3 months later? I am fascinated by the mind games that these people play. And when I saw the clip of Greg Maddox talking about Barry Bonds and Barry Bonds talking about Greg Maddox, I found their game to be fascinating, the same way that you might be interested in the podcast that's now defunct of LeBron James and J.J. Redick, just because you want access to one of these minds that thinks differently than everyone else. For example, Stan Van Gundy says of LeBron's the all-time leading scorer in the sport, but what Stan Van Gundy says of LeBron is the thing he's actually best at is passing. He's better at passing, even though he's the all-time leader in scoring. And so when you get access to a brain like that, when you get access to 2 brains like that, Greg Maddox and Barry Bonds talking about how Barry Bonds was pitched, I can't get enough of that information because it's not exactly Rich Aurelia. Like it's also not Eddie Perez telling the story. It's like the very top of greatness. And so while I call bullshit on the story, the thing that gives me some pause is it was 8-0.
Yeah.
And might Greg Maddox say, you know what, I don't care about my ERA. I don't care whether I'm giving up a home run here. I want an advantage 3 months from now.
You know Nate McMillan, right? The NBA coach, former player. I've never met somebody more scared of an opposing player than listening to Nate McMillan before a playoff series against LeBron. He was telling story, and he would like be a little quiet because he thought like people were listening. Tell a story about how he would have to show his sign secretly because LeBron is basically telling everybody what they're doing the second he sees a signal. Like he would run the play for them, and I've never seen a coach just stunned by it, just flummoxed, like doesn't know what to do. You're looking at him and saying, wow, so you're definitely getting swept here because this was like game 2. And he knows nothing of what to do with LeBron when he's calling out his plays. And that's the type of just genius that you don't get from every other player.
Dan, I don't want to throw us off here, but Jeremy is just awkwardly standing out there waiting for you to go back to him. He has more baseball stuff, and he's just kind of awkwardly standing there.
All right, let's go to the useless sound montage now. I want to just hear all of the people in football who had football things to say that aren't in any way interesting.
Like Moses, I'm gonna die leaning on my staff.
This is the 3rd year anniversary of my grandmother's death, which today, the 22nd, she raised me, and I was, kind of giving her the business after those first 2 plays. Like, what the hell you got in store for me?
Honestly, I haven't seen him flinch.
But I didn't feel any blink or anybody running away.
Happy for our guys and proud of their effort. Whatever, keep going, keep firing away. They told me this city was going to burn if we came in here and won the game, so I guess it is.
Everybody deserves a game ball.
No, at the end of the day, I've not done a good enough job. We're an 0-3 football team. I'm an 0-3 head coach. It's embarrassing and disappointing.
He's a dog, man.
Good team win. I mean, shoot, they're hard to come by sometimes in this league.
And a purpose mindset is knowing that through bad things that happen, that if you let it, you'll get better.
Losing's frustrating. They made more plays than us. That's a good football team.
Flow of the game, I think, that's a good football team.
I've never won a game scoring 3 points, so I think collectively, starting with me, that just needs to be better. We have to get it figured out fast.
We've been able to win. I mean, that speaks to the character of the team, the grit, how we've been in these situations before.
Now, my first opening drive touchdown in my career, by the way.
We started out fast. We wanted to do that.
I thought our guys came out with the right attitude, the right mentality from the start, and we never slowed down.
I think there was definitely some individuals that made business decisions, and we'll make business decisions going forward as well.
Just continuing to battle, continuing to fight, and there's a lot of guts, there's a lot of resilience in this group, and it's just one game.
Play complimentary football.
You got complimentary football.
We got to look at the tape, and we got to decide this week on a short week, some of those answers.
Obviously, watching the tape's going to help, and at some point you got to go do it.
One game at a time. You don't win a Super Bowl, get into the playoffs with 3 games, and I think this team understands that.
Proud of the way the guys fought throughout the entire game.
We were fighting the whole time, and I thought guys really stepped up. And not every game's going to be a fairy tale ending.
There's a nakedness in this business at this level. There's nowhere to hide. When you got a challenge like that walking in your venue, you better fight. Let's be real clear. They got to fight. They don't have a choice.
Tomlin is unbelievable sound every week. The way that he says nothing so well. Antonio Pierce, I didn't think that was useless sound. You lose to Carolina, and he accuses his players of making some business decisions and then says, we'll make some business decisions as well.
How did you hear that? Because when I first heard it, I thought he was supporting them making the business decisions, but instead he was calling them out harshly.
No, he was upset with them making business decisions to save their body and to be healthy, the following weeks and the upcoming weeks. He's not happy about that.
And he's just telling you that we'll continue to do that.
Well, that's how you answer. That's how you answer a business decision with another business decision. That's what you do.
Wait a minute.
If your players make business decisions, you as a team therefore have to make business decisions to counteract their decisions.
Stugotz, thank you for the clarification. I'm a bit stunned that Izzy has made it this long in his career without understanding what the accusation Antonio Pierce was making was. He's saying that instead of playing football, they decided to protect their body and then lose to the Carolina Panthers.
No, thank you, Dan. I understand what he is saying. It was the follow-up where he said, and we'll continue to make business decisions. Sounded to me like he was saying, save your bodies. We're not going to be any good.
So I'm looking at the Raiders transactions to see what business decisions were made after the game. And on September 23rd, cornerback Sam Webb was reverted to the practice squad. And on September 24th, The Raiders signed Sam Webb to the active roster, so it seems like the business decision was sending someone down to the practice squad and then bring him right back up the next day.
Now I'm hearing it.
And then they put Marcus Epps on the injured reserve list. So it seems like no business decisions have been made by the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Antonio Pierce was threatening his players who continue to make business decisions with the Raiders will make the business decision of sending you to the practice squad for a day and then re-signing you.
I heard will. He said wheel. That's where we messed up. By the way, Brian Daboll announcing the anniversary of his grandmother's death was probably the closest Dan has ever been to spitting water all over this studio.
Yeah,
that was by far the funniest randomness.
Yeah, we had almost a spit take there at the idea that the second useless sound was somebody talking about their dead grandmother and where they were to help the Giants win on Sunday.
Well, the way that game started wasn't great. Yeah. They
The third-year anniversary of my grandmother's death.
Immediately fumbled the ball and then gave up a touchdown on the first play. Yeah. By the way, this poor Sam Webb, what a yo-yo of a season for him, huh? September 9th, he was sent down to the practice squad. September 14th, he was brought up from the practice squad. September 16th, he was sent back down to the practice squad. September 21st, he was brought up from the practice squad. September 23rd, back down. September 24th, back up.
That's the guy you hired to make an example of.
That's funny because anytime you go to a practice squad, anyone in the league can have you. That's got to be just a feeling of like, I'm just going back and forth. Like, no one wants me. Every single time I go, anyone can have me, and still yet nobody wants me.
Do you think Sam Webb just has all of his stuff packed 24/7? Like, he doesn't even take the stuff out of the box.
Never
unpacks?
Like,
I just don't know. I mean, he knows he's probably still going to stay in the same place 2 days later, but he just doesn't know.
It seems like a real purgatory. Can you imagine you guys coming in every day and not knowing if you're going to be sent outside and told not to work with your teammates and then brought back and then sent away and just spend your whole season on the fringes of the sport? Seems lonely. Let's go out to Jeremy in the other room in his special purgatory. He wants to talk baseball desperately. Jeremy, what do you got?
Dan, we have already discussed the NL West and the AL East, but the AL wild card is where it's at. I want to start with the Nationals and the Royals. The Nationals are out of it, but the Royals, who are right now in one of the final wild card spots, have been the worst offense in baseball since August 29th. Team batting average of 202, team slugging percentage of 303. And we saw already, Ohtani and Judge were left on deck in huge moments for their team. Well, the Royals go into extras with the Nationals. Bobby Witt Jr., their slugger, comes up to bat in a 0-0 ball game. Let's see if he can come up with a game-winning blast.
There's a big lead at second base, and Jr. grounds it to the left side. Nunez charges and throws on a bounce, and the ball gets away. Here's Isbell down from third, and the Royals take the lead.
Real slug from Bobby Witt Jr. He's going to come in second at the MVP. A game-winning infield hit against the Nationals in 10 innings. That's what it is for the Royals. The other teams in that wild card race include the Mariners. They lost last night to the Astros,
Wait a
who
minute.
clinched the division.
Billy's making a skeptical face, and I always have to stop and go to Billy when he's making a skeptical face.
I'm watching. I don't know why we're watching errors, but I'm watching.
That was an error, not a hit, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Well, Bobby Witt is the one who comes through for the Royals by just simply putting the ball in play. That's how bad they've been offensively. Trying to make an example of that, guys, by showing that the only way they could score is a little dribbler to the shortstop. But the Astros have 4 straight division titles. The Mariners dropped down. The Twins had an opportunity against the Marlins. But Jonah Bride and them boys with the Miami Marlins take down the Twins in Minnesota. And that allows the Tigers to gain more of a lead. My Tigers against Dan's Rays yesterday. Tarek Skubal dominant again, 7 shutout innings. And after their win, the Tigers released this hype video.
Detroit's playing a different game since the beginning of August. They keep winning.
Won't shut up about the Detroit Tigers.
What they've been able to pull off.
And the gritty Tigers. Seen what they've been doing.
How the heck did they get here? It really is an unbelievable scene.
The Tigers have something powerful behind them.
And look at where they are now.
AJ Hinch really said, I'm taking the kids and we're going on
They're
the
playing
run.
team baseball.
They are showing up to the park every night.
It's just they're grinding it out.
Like the most confident team in the league.
Well, they've gotten hot at the right best time. record in the sport since August 11th. So I think that they've got something going.
I think this is such a great story.
They're my favorite story in baseball right now. Detroit Tigers fandom. I am with you.
Jeremy.
I am with you, Tigers fans, repping the Detroit Tigers hat right now. That's my team, the Detroit Tigers. You guys are the best. And if we look at the standings, Chris, Baltimore ahead, but Detroit and Kansas City tied for the second and third wild card spots, with Minnesota and Seattle now 2 and 2.5 games back. That's the Beal.
All right, enough of this. When did this guy turn into Jon Stewart? I mean, just like
yeah.
tossing the clips
Did he cut
right and
that
left.
video himself? Did somebody put his voice in there? Like,
He
what
is
was that
making
about?
me like baseball even less. I mean, it's unbelievable.
He just threw to a clip of himself. That's the only reason he played that Tigers clip.
That's the Beal. That didn't work an hour later.
Gen CFB is
I gave
next.
that to him.